Hi, welcome to Module 2. This is Week 1, Part A. By the end of this sequence of lectures, you will understand the impact of anxiety on learning related to mathematics. You will have explored suggestions to address anxiety in teachers and have explored suggestions to address anxiety in students. Prior to viewing this lecture, you should have viewed the first 8.5 minutes of the TEDx talk by Robert Adut. We will discuss your reactions to this video during the synchronous lecture this week. Although Robert talks about mathematics anxiety in students, it's important that we acknowledge that sometimes the result of childhood anxiety leads to primary teachers who feel anxious about mathematics, even though they know it is a subject they have to teach every day of their teaching lives. The teachers in our primary schools are intelligent people. They all have a qualification that allows them to teach in our schools, and many of them have multiple university degrees. So we might assume that these types of intelligent people and well-educated people wouldn't have any anxieties relating to mathematics. Unfortunately, this is wrong. In 1998, a study by Carroll found that more than half Australian primary teachers have negative feelings towards mathematics. We all know teachers in our schools who don't want to teach in the higher grades simply to avoid teaching higher level mathematics. These teachers are the result of negative school experiences, and a result of this is that they lack confidence with mathematics. Sadly, because they lack confidence in mathematics, this often transfers to the students they are teaching. Teachers who are anxious often have inadequate conceptual understanding, and so find it hard to be enthusiastic about teaching maths. My research on student engagement has proven that a teacher who is enthusiastic and has a deep content knowledge of mathematics is perceived by the students to be a good maths teacher. Anxious teachers often resort to textbooks and worksheets in order to survive, and a result of this is that they are producing students who see mathematics as a boring or difficult subject, rather than something that is dynamic and creative. So what can we do? How can we help anxious teachers to ensure students don't develop the same anxieties? There are a few suggestions from literature, and I will share them with you now. You may have already tried something different in your own context, and we will discuss this in our online meeting. The first strategy I'm going to talk about is something that an Australian researcher, Sue Wilson, has been trialling, called bibliotherapy. According to Wilson, bibliotherapy is a technique taken from psychology and library science. It uses guided reading and discussion to encourage individuals to overcome negative emotions related to their real-life problems. Wilson has studied the use of bibliotherapy with pre-service and practicing primary teachers. In this process, teachers write about a critical incident in their own school mathematics education that contributed to their anxiety, followed by reflections on 2 professional readings. These readings were related to mathematics anxiety. This allowed the teachers to examine their attitudes towards themselves as learners and teachers of mathematics and gave them insight into how their anxiety influenced their teaching. In a similar strategy, Donaldson, Field, Harries, Tope and Taylor write about research by Zan and DiMartino that presents a similar way to analyse attitudes, and they suggest a model for change. In this model, teachers are encouraged to analyse their attitudes using 3 types of personal descriptors. The first is emotional. I like, dislike mathematics. The second is about perceived success or self-efficacy relating to mathematics. I can or can't do this. The third is an internalised understanding of the nature of mathematics and a personal definition. Mathematics is. This model would be a useful tool to provide an in-depth understanding of attitudes, and it's a good place to begin the process of change. In a similar model, the National Centre for Excellence in Mathematics use a model for promoting change that includes the following activities: exploring personal journeys to date, considering feelings about maths, including learned habits of emotional association, personally defining mathematics, and reflecting and focusing on where next. This material can be used to raise the awareness of your colleagues and allow them to identify the fact that they need to make a break from past experiences. Being aware of these issues can promote a willingness to change. If you are leading mathematics in your primary school, one of your roles will be to encourage more positive attitudes amongst the teaching staff. If you don't do this, it becomes very difficult to promote change and encourage good teaching practice. This is also critical if you're going to address anxiety that students are experiencing. In part 2 of this lecture, we're going to explore anxiety issues amongst students and ways that we can address them.